mission of academic excellence, a commitment to community, and a rich history of athletic success, the Lone Star Conference has long been known as a leader in intercollegiate athletics. Now with 19 institutions that embody the best in college sports, the Lone Star Conference is the largest and most dynamic conference in NCAA Division II. 19 members strong, 19 members proud. This is the new Lone Star Conference.
Good morning, Mustang Nation. I'd like to welcome everybody. Today's a great day to be a Mustang, and I am so excited to be able to announce to you our new head football coach. But before I do that, I want to give you a quick little background on some of the things that really stuck out about Coach Vigil. First of all, I want you to know that he has over 10 years of NCAA coaching experience, with 5 of those years also being a recruiting coordinator. He has recruiting experience throughout the Southwest, to include our base of recruiting. He has coordinated the number 3 and number 5 recruiting class at the Division I FCS level for the last 2 years, and has had the number 1 recruiting class in the Southland Conference the last 2 years. Next, he's 6 years in the Division II playoffs as a coach. He has 4 consecutive years of postseason play while at the Division II level. He's a 4-time Missouri Intercollegiate Athletic Association champion. His last 2 years at Fort Hays State University, they had a combined record of 20-2. And finally, he finished the 17th season ranked number 8 by the American Football Coaches Association. With these type of credentials, I am proud and excited to announce to you our new head football coach, Philip Vigil.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to thank God for this platform. This has been a dream for 13 years of mine since I started college coaching, and it is nothing short of the grace of God that I'm standing here today. Coaching is a calling to me. It is not a profession. It's something that I felt from a very young age, that this was something that God wanted me to do. And I'm so excited to be able to do it here. I'm so excited to be able to build these young men. Football is a great game, and I love the game of football, but football is not the most important thing. The most important thing to me is to build young men through the game of football, to build men who can therefore build other strong men. And when I stepped on campus, my wife and I stepped on campus, it was clear that our vision for what success looks like in a football program was completely aligned with the president, Dr. Shepard, and our athletic director, Scott Noble. Thank you so much for believing in me, for believing in our family, and for giving me this opportunity. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you're proud of the product that we're not just putting on the football field, but our guys in the classroom, in the community, somewhere that not only Western New Mexico, but the state of New Mexico can be proud of. I would like to thank my wife, my best friend, my rock. Been a head coach for about a week now. She's been the head coach for about 13 years now in our marriage. We were high school sweethearts, and she has supported me through every move, through every step, through every phase, and I can't thank her enough. We've got 3 young children, Peyton, 8, Ava, who's 5, and Olivia, who's going to be 4 here in June. And you guys just got 3 very rambunctious, Mustang fans, I'll tell you that much. My daughters we're going to have to get some extra security and staff to keep them off the field during halftime when the cheerleaders are out there, because they are going to want to be a part of it. I'd like to thank my parents, my mom, her support, her prayer, her guidance. Probably the biggest mentor in my life is my father. He poured into me every day for 30 years. And unfortunately, he was taken from us. He got sick and had cancer 6 years ago. But when I first started in coaching, we would watch guys on TV, and he would say, "Phil, that's going to be you someday. That's going to be you." Just speaking life, speaking encouragement. And I would watch these coaches win these big games, and I would see their dad on the sideline, and I'd see him embrace their father and enjoy the victory. And I know, even though I won't be able to do that, he will be on the sideline every single game. And so I'm so thankful for my parents. I look back at my life, and the biggest impact, the people that have made the biggest impact on me have been coaches. From my high school coach, Blair Hubbard, Ralph Nance, guys that set a high standard and loved on kids, to my college coach, Joe Romano. Unbelievable man, would do anything for you. To my mentors that have helped me in this profession, Coach Mel Churchma, Hall of Fame coach at Northwest Missouri State. I was able to go to Northwest Missouri State and see what culture looks like when it's operating at its optimal performance. When I got to Northwest, they had just got done playing in 5 consecutive national championship games. The culture was set. I'd like to thank Coach Brown, Fort Hays State. We were able to turn a program that was the worst in the MIAA to the best in the MIAA in 4 years. Back-to-back conference champs. And again, by investing in people, holding a high standard. I'd like to thank my best friend, Colby Carthel. He surprised me today. Come out. It means so much to me to be able to bounce things off of you and know that you will always tell me the truth. And I appreciate you, and I love you. I'd like to thank my players that have played for me in the past. Man, I love you guys. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. And nobody sees the behind-the-scenes stuff, the meetings, the weights, the grind. But man, I hope you know how strongly I feel towards you. And I'm so thankful for you. Finally, before I answer any questions, I want to say this. Frank Tristan is a good man. And he did a good job here. And to leave for a football team, when your head coach leaves, that's a hard thing. Not a lot of direction, don't know what the next step is, and especially in today's culture, when transferring is so easy. The NCAA has made it so easy for guys to transfer. But since Frank has left, only 5 guys have gotten into the transfer portal. And I think that's a testament to him and his staff and the culture that they've put in place here. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to change and win some games and change lives and build that culture? First is by hiring great coaches. There's 3 things that I look for when I'm hiring a coach. First, he's got to be a man of integrity. He's got to be a guy that I want around my family. If my son was going to coach or to play for him, I want that man to be there. The second thing, he's got to be able to recruit. Coach Carthel will always say, good players will make you look like a good coach. We've got to find guys that are able to recruit. And third, they've got to be a good football coach. I'm going to surround these guys with great people that are great recruiters, that are good football coaches. We're going to be process-driven. We're not going to worry about wins. We're not going to worry about championships. Those things will come. And as I told those guys last night in our first team meeting, you better come back to campus knowing your ring size, because that's going to be a reality here. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be done overnight. It's going to be done by focusing on the process every single day. How can I get better today? the everyday drills, the drills you do every single day, and you're in week 10 and you're grinding and you've done these things a million times, are you going to push through? You have an exam tomorrow. You don't want to study. Are you going to push through? In your relationships, how you treat people, are you going to get better? We're going to focus on the process in everything that we do, and the wins will take care of themselves. The championships will take care of themselves. We are going to attack. Offensively, defensively, special teams, we will attack. We want opponents to be on their heels. And I've already mentioned it once, but we are going to recruit. If you've got a cactus in your front lawn, you better know the Western New Mexico coaches are going to come by and see if you want to play some football. We're going to start here in New Mexico, and we're going to build our brand from there. El Paso, Texas, Colorado, Arizona, West Coast. We are going to find the best players that are the best people. You can't have one without the other. You can have great players, and they may win you games. But when you have great players that are great people, that's when you win championships. And we're going to do our very best to beat the bushes, to find the very best players and the very best people we can and bring them to Silver City. I promise you guys this, as your head football coach, every single day I will give it my all. I will keep my eyes on the Lord, and I will lead the way that He has led me. And I will love on these young men, and I promise you we will do everything we can to help any way we can Western New Mexico, Silver City, and the great state of New Mexico. Thank you.
Coach Vigil, welcome to Western New Mexico. I'm Ed Nunez. For those of you that don't know, I'm the voice of Western New Mexico Athletics. I want to thank Athletic Director Scott Noble for inviting us down here today. And Coach, again, welcome to Western. Congratulations on your appointment as Western New Mexico head coach. Coach Noble mentioned some background on you. You are also an all-conference quarterback at Colorado Mesa back in the day, 2-year starter at Colorado Mesa. Your 07 team was 10-2. You were a two-time All-RMAC selection, ranked second in career passing yards. So you've got quite an extensive playing background as well as coaching. But one of the first things I wanted to ask you is Coach Frank Tristan stepped down on April 7th. How was it that Coach Scott Noble, the athletic director here at Western New Mexico, reached out to you?
I actually had another mentor of mine, Josh Lynn, who's the head coach at Nebraska Kearney, reach out to me. And him and Scott are good friends. And he said, do you have any interest in this? And at that point, to be honest with you, I was excited and content of being at SFA. And I knew they were going to do, and they are going to do great things there. And he started telling me about it. And I started to get excited. And I said, you know what? Give him my name. And so that weekend, Scott called me, and we spoke for about an hour, and the next day we did the Zoom interview. And from the very first thing I said to them, I said, if you get nothing else from this interview, I want you to get my heart for coaching. I want you to get my heart for these young men. And as things progressed, you know, they flew my wife and I out here. And just like I said, you know, if those of you that don't know, Scott is a former football coach, okay? Which means Scott can recruit. And he did a great job recruiting us to this job. But the thing that sold us was his vision for Western New Mexico, the president's vision for Western New Mexico, and their commitment to put in the resources to make this place not only great for the student athletes off the field, but great for the student athletes on the field. And so it just was an easy decision for us, to be honest with you, once we met everybody here. It's about people. When you invest in people, when it's about people, you're never going to go wrong. And we felt that strong pull here.
I think Coach Noble, sounds like Coach Tristan's resignation might have been unexpected, but Coach Noble has a lot of contacts in the football world, as you do. So it sounds like just a great fit, a great recruitment by Coach Noble getting you here. Coach, you mentioned to me the other day, and you touched on that just a little bit about recruiting not being over. You're named the head coach on May 10th, and your season opener is September 4th. That's less than 4 months away. You mentioned that recruiting is not over. You commented a little bit on that. Would you care to comment just a little bit more? Because it's late in the recruiting game for some, but you mentioned that there's players that you can get, and that smile tells me you think just that.
Oh, yeah.
That there's still players you can get. You want to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. Some of the best players you get don't show up till you're 3 days into fall camp. So we're not going to stop recruiting. We are going to recruit from now until they tell us we can't anymore. And when we can't anymore, then we're going to move on to the next class. With COVID right now and with everything that's happened, there's a lot of really good football players out there that don't have opportunities. And so it's our job, once we put the staff together, to evaluate what we have on this team and try to address any needs that may be present. But recruiting will not stop. It will not stop.
You mentioned this to me too, and one of the things I asked you the other day when I spoke to you was it was a COVID season in which Western New Mexico played one spring game. And I asked you if you thought the program might be behind the 8 ball, not developing as much and working as much and playing the games that we normally do during the regular football season. But you told me you want to elaborate a little bit on that? You thought Western New Mexico wasn't as behind as people might think because Division II really didn't play that much. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think Division II football as a landscape really got the short end of the stick when it came to COVID. You look at Division I, they were able to play. FCS, we chose to play in the spring, some chose to play, in the fall, some chose to play in the spring. Division II is really up to each institution, and most institutions did not have the financial backing to be able to put the protocols in place, to be able to test properly, to be able to get those games in. And I think it goes a testament to Dr. Shepard and Scott Noble that we're the only Division II school in the state of New Mexico to play a game. And I think that's a huge testament to them, their protocols, our athletic training, to be able to say, hey, our kids want to play, let's let them play. And so, yes, I would love to have had a spring with them. Yes, I would have loved for them to be able to play in the fall. But we're not going to focus on those things. What we can focus right now is how we can get better today and the process moving forward.
We always talk about every coach is going to say this. They want to hit the ground running with a sense of urgency. Every coach says that. With you being named the head coach May 10th and the season opener being September 4th, does that take on even more of a sense of urgency as far as time constraints?
Yes, it does. But just because we're in a hurry doesn't mean I'm going to rush. And so I'm going to take my time with our hires. I'm going to take my time because I don't want to get the wrong people here. I want to make sure that we're getting the right people in the building, because when we have the right people in the building, good things are going to happen. And so, yes, everything has been expedited because we didn't get a spring and all those things, but let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work.
Coach, you come from a strong recruiting background. You have strong recruiting ties in Texas, and you mentioned some other places you'd like to recruit from as well. How will that help the Mustang football program? You mentioned recruiting, and Coach Noble mentioned your background in recruiting. How will that help Western New Mexico as far as its own football recruitment goes?
Yeah, good football players make good coaches, and so we're going to find the best players, and we're going to make sure we're doing our due diligence out there. I think recruiting is a way that some people, to be honest with you, can take for granted, and we're not going to do that. It is going to be on the forefront of what we do as a coaching staff. It's something we're going to focus on all year round, not just in the off season. It's something that we're going to focus on and really building relationships. I think that's the biggest thing is being able to get coaches out and build relationships with high school coaches, with junior college coaches, because relationships are, again, when you're investing in people, that's what's going to make the most difference. And so getting out to the high school coaches, investing in them and letting them know what we're about, what our program's going to be built on, and the type of players that we need to be successful here. And those coaches, if you're genuine, if you're real, they're going to send you the kids that they know will be successful for you. And if there's a kid, they're like, I don't know if he's might go to Eastern. Well, if we've done a good job, the coach hopefully push him our way. So,
Coach, we mentioned Coach Frank Tristan, who did a wonderful job here. Western New Mexico has 5 wins in 4 seasons. What is your plan to make Western New Mexico a winning program?
Yeah, it goes back to the same thing I spoke on earlier, just focusing on the process, focusing on the details, and trying to get 1% better every single day. And that's different for everybody. It's going to look different for me than it's going to look for a position coach, and it's going to look different for a quarterback than it is for a defensive lineman. But everybody has those things that they know, choosing discipline over default. And it's not an easy thing to do because your default, naturally as human beings, we have a tendency to be lazy. And so choosing discipline, choosing to do the right thing when nobody's looking, choosing to go the extra mile when you don't have to, that's what's going to separate us. And again, I'm not going to apologize for holding kids to a high standard. I'm going to coach them hard. I'm going to love them hard. I'm going to coach the same way that I parent. Lots of love, lots of discipline. And you can't have one without the other. It's got to be both. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on getting better every single day. We're going to focus on the process, and the wins will take care of themselves.
Coach, Frank Tristan, as we mentioned, stepped down on April 7th, and the kids, the team did play UT Permian in a spring game, and some of the players went home after that game, and Coach Tristan stepping down April 7th. There might have been a 4-week lapse without, some leadership and a person at the helm that's driving the ship. And now that you're here, have you had a chance to meet with your players? And when you do, what would be your message to them?
Yeah, I actually met with them last night. So yesterday was my first day on campus, and I thought it was important that one of the first things I did when I got on campus was address the team. And so we met last night, and I told them a very similar message that, we're going to focus on the process, and I'm going to hold you to a high standard. And I gave them things, the Mustang standards that they're going to be evaluated on. The first thing is going to be academics. The second thing is going to be community service. How they're going to do what they're going to do out in the community, what they're going to do in the athletic training room. Are they going to be attacking rehab? Are they going to be diligent with their time? And then the last thing is football. Because I really believe that, if you're good on everything else and you're a good athlete, football will take care of itself. And so, again, man, my message to them was I'm excited. I'm pumped to get started. They were pumped to get started. But we all know we got a lot of work ahead of us. And those that want to work and that raise and elevate themselves above the standard, we're going to be champions here.
I love that message. I love it. Coach, you've coached in the Southland Conference and also played in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. What are the challenges in coaching in the Lone Star Conference? Because we know Lone Star Conference, as far as football goes, there's some very good football teams in the conference. What are the challenges in coaching in the Lone Star Conference?
Oh, it's one of the best conferences in the country. Week in and week out, you've got to be prepared to play. You've got to be prepared to win. They're really, really good athletes all over the place. And so it will be a challenge. It will be a challenge for sure. But I think we can make our splash in recruiting, being unique in recruiting. And again, we're going to be unique a little bit in the way that we play. We are going to attack in every phase. I'm excited for the challenge to be able to go into the Lone Star and shock some people, I'll tell you that much.
No question about that. Coach, you mentioned about hiring coaches and hiring a staff. Have you made any decisions regarding your staff? And again, you just got here. These are just questions. Have you made any decisions as far as retaining coaches or hiring coaches or bringing in some of your own coaches?
Yeah, I've got a lot of people that are excited about Western New Mexico football. People that are here in the building right now and the people that aren't here in the building right now. And again, the first thing that my mentors have told me is don't rush it. Don't rush the hiring process. Get the right people there. And so I'm taking my time with that. The nice thing about May is there's not a lot of football to be had in May. We're going to start summer workouts June 1, and so I've got some time here to be able to put the staff together. But I've got a bunch of guys that are excited about the opportunity of joining this program.
You got about 4 months to put in your offensive and defensive philosophies, and you mentioned you want to run the football, you want to attack, you said, and attack.
Don't forget special teams now.
Right, no, I was just going to get there. So you mentioned that about so June 1st, and you're going to start the off-season workouts today, tomorrow. Did one of those start the off-season weightlifting program?
Yeah, so we'll start our off-season program on June 1st. That's when the Division I start theirs, and that's when we're going to start ours. Hopefully we can get some guys here in town. If not, they'll have a program to be able to do where they're at. And I told those guys yesterday, I said, hey, I don't care if you're working out in the Bay Area, if you're in New Mexico, if you're in Phoenix, you better be wearing some Western New Mexico stuff, supporting us, and getting to work, because I want people to know we're going to be on the map this year. So,
one last question, Coach, and I don't know if we're going to take any questions from the audience. If anybody has a question for Coach Vigil, let us know. But, Coach, I think I asked you this the other day, and have you had a chance to look at any of the game film against UT Permian in the spring. Have you had any chance to see any film?
Just got added to huddle yesterday. I was able to watch about one series, and then I got pulled in another direction. So I have not yet, but that is something that's going to be on the docket for the end of this week.
Well, I'll tell you something, Coach Philip Vigil, congratulations. I'll tell you, I'm excited just listening to your enthusiasm about football, and I know Coach Noble shares the same enthusiasm, I'm sure. Can't wait to get it going on September 4th at Mustangs' first game. We're going to take some questions from the audience. If anybody has any questions for Coach Vigil, let us please raise your hand. We'll go to the audience for some questions. Yes, sir.
Not so much a question, but just want to say it's an honor, man, honestly, to hear you talk about putting God first as a local pastor here and have been part of this program for the last 4 years. It truly is an honor to hear your heart for the young man, to know that your heart is to develop them more as young men rather than football players. It's really awesome. I think it's going to serve the community well, and it's an honor to know you, Coach, and that you're here to be part of this community, to be part of this university, and these young men's lives that will be coming in here that are really, yeah, they may be talented on the field, but they'll be men longer than they'll be football players, and I think it really is awesome to hear your heart for that. So welcome home. We're super glad you're here. Can't wait to support you with everything we got.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any more statements, questions for Coach Vigil? So raise your hand. We'll go to you. Yes, sir.
Welcome. Tim Aldrich is my name. I'm one of the criminal justice professors. I'd like to reiterate what the pastor just said as well. I was told a long time ago, stability can outrank ability often. And one of the things that I really want to encourage you is in that stability area. We need you to stay. We need you to be part of this community. And to understand that the community is larger than just Western. And we really want to welcome you and your family and your children to this community. Former district court judge, district attorney, been in the community myself for about 10 years now, and it's a great, great community. The student athletes here are my best students. And what I see is in this community is that 85% of our leaders in this community come through Western. And a lot of them come through our athletic program. And so I want you to talk a little bit about stability and your views of leadership and your young youth.
Yeah, that's great. Well, first off, we came here not to worry about the next job. We came here to be here, and we're going to invest in this community. We're going to invest in Western New Mexico, and we're going to buy here, and we're going to live here, and we're going to be involved. And as far as leadership goes, I think the biggest thing that I see with athletes today is their whole identity is wrapped up in them as a football player. They don't understand that football is just part of who they are. It's not all of who they are. And so to me, as a leader, it's every day it's leading by example. It's investing in these young men and letting them know that, man, you're much bigger than who you are on the football field. Who you are as a person is much more important than who you are as a football player. And really using some tools to be able to develop them, and not just me. And that's why it's important that we get the right staff here, because I want to surround these young men with coaches and leaders that feel the same way. Because sometimes if the head coach is the only one that's saying it, it can begin to fall on deaf ears. And so having a group, it's going to take everybody. I mean, it's everybody in this room. Like, to turn this thing around, it's going to take everybody. And so surrounding them with men that care about them, that lead. I want our families around. That's one thing that I admire so much about Coach Carthel and why it was so hard to leave SFA is, I know I grew up in Denver, and my family's in Denver, but my family's in Nacogdoches. And we left an unbelievable place with unbelievable people. And we called it Toddler Fight Club. There were so many kids running around all over the place. I mean, it was ridiculous. But surrounding these kids with good husbands, with good fathers, allowing them to see that and inviting them into your home, and just being genuine. One of the greatest things that you can give to somebody is your time, and just really investing in them. And so that's what we're going to do.
Any more questions for Coach Vigil? Yes.
I appreciate what you said about the community, because Western the athletic department has a long history of being involved in the community. Coach Noble has kept that going, and it's very important for this community to know that Western is here. Western has worked very hard in the last few years to incorporate themselves into the community. When we first moved here, there was Western and there was Silver City. Never the twain shall meet. And using the athletes' talents, their muscle, to move things, to help out in the community, has been very, very important to the community. And I appreciate the fact that you want to be involved, that you want your players to be involved. And I think it's important for the community to see them out doing things and enjoying things and knowing about our community. There's a lot here to offer the students, a lot of history, a lot of recreation. To have them be involved in that, he speaks very highly. And I trust, and it sounds like you will, maintain that tradition of having your charges be involved, and I appreciate that. The other thing, Coach Noble knows this, I don't care if you win or lose. Put a good product on the field, an enjoyable product on the field, and you will have the community support.
I appreciate that. We're going to win, though.
I'll tell you what, Coach, it's one of the biggest Western fans there. He rarely misses any kind of event, so it was great words there. And any other questions for Coach Vigil?
I just would like to say thank you guys so much. I'm humbled and honored to be able to lead this program, and I will do it to the best of my ability every single day. And thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for coming to the press conference. I want to congratulate Coach Vigil again as the new Western New Mexico football coach.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.